Welcome to For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and this is your number one source for all things sports, health, and fitness related.
Oh, hold on, Coach. What does For the Health of It stand for?
Good question, Austin. The four and For the Health of It stands for our four principles, which are mindset, movement, nutrition, and recovery.
Okay, cool. Let's do it for the health of it then.
Welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're diving into a different avenue. We're going into eSports, and we have with us the LastBlackSpartan. RJ, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing today?
Doing quite well. Austin, man, you can I know you usually play the producer role, but feel free. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. Feel free to jump in whenever you want.
All right, definitely. I will, Coach.
Good deal. So RJ, tell us a little bit about the esports. I watched a documentary one time. I can't remember what it was called. The King of Kong or something like that. It was about the guy that played the Donkey Kong console arcade game. Did you ever see that one?
I don't think I've seen that one, but I think I know a little what you're talking about.
Okay, all right. Well, tell me a little bit. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We young. Me and you, we just talked about our ages. We're younger than that. Well, so that's before our time. But give me your introduction or give me the quick abbreviated history of esports, and then how you got into gaming.
So esports days back pretty far. Like I think the furthest thing I can remember is like some of those Nintendo championship things where they'd have like it was a whole spectacle of like, they would just play for like the highest score. That's really where it started. It's like, who could play the highest, who could get the highest score in a given like arcade game. Like if anybody remembers Nick Arcade,
Right.
that was basically like, esports before it was called esports. Like
just going to the arcade basically and just competing for the high score.
Yeah. Esports is anytime you compete in a video game, no matter what it is. It could be a high score, it could be, to win, it could be a team based, it could be solo. Like any fighting video game, dating all the way back to like Mortal Kombat, Virtua Fighter. If there was Street Fighter, if there was tournaments for it, it was the esport.
Okay, cool. So how did you get into gaming?
I got into gaming when I was around 3 or 4 years old. I got a Sega Genesis for Christmas. My first game was Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah, same here.
Do you still play Sonic before you finish that?
I'm still a fan of Sonic. I actually have a stream goal that if I hit a certain amount of followers, I'll play through Sonic Adventure 2 for 12 straight hours.
Okay, cool.
That's one of my favorite Sonic games, man.
Mine too.
My introduction, like you said, I don't know if you have any older brothers or older siblings, but mine had the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. So of course, when I was born in '88, we already had the regular Nintendo in the house. So I was born into it, and then but my first console of myself was also the Sonic or was the Sega Genesis. And it was packaged with Sonic 2, like you just said. So
we probably had the same thing. I actually still have my copy of it. I found it when I went home and I brought it with me. So I still have the copy. It has me and my younger brother's name on it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of two. We're actually pretty close in age, like a year and a half apart. Not too far.
So do you plan on selling that memorabilia for autographs sooner or later?
I might let my kids decide that down the road. Like when I have some, I'm gonna hand it down to them. It's like y'all do what y'all want with it, but if you sell it, it will break my heart. I'm just gonna tell them
that. So before we go any further, man, I want to get a side question. Are you a Sega fan?
I am a Sega fan. It's sad to see them go the way they've gone. Like I'm still glad there's a huge Sonic fan base that's kind of resurged in the past few years. Whoever's running their social media has done a great job of keeping it entertaining. And I saw the movie this year, and I thought it was great.
It was great.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, me and my wife watched it. I think it came out right before quarantine started, and then they did a great job getting pushed out. And me and my wife watched it, man. We loved it. She really enjoyed it. She didn't think she was gonna like it, but man, she ate that.
Same. My girl did not mind sharing that movie with her Valentine's Day at all. So we went and saw it, and she was like, I thought it was nice. I was like,
Yay!
I was very excited.
So back to Sega. Did you own a Saturn or a Dreamcast?
I didn't get a Saturn because I was kind of busy with a 64 and a PlayStation at the time, but I did get a Dreamcast. Like that was a must-have. And I had Sonic Adventure. I had a couple other games. One of my friends actually had an import of like, oh, what is the name of that game? It was like a party game, Power Stone. I think it was Power Stone 2. So he would bring it to the house and we would play that, and that was just like a good old time.
I feel left out for not knowing any of this. I just want to say, I just want to say that.
It's all good, Austin. Man, but RJ, man, there's nobody around. Like where I'm at, it's just me and my wife, really. And of course, you know, I can call my brother up anytime. But even growing up, nobody in my neighborhood had a Sega Saturn or a Dreamcast. So I always felt like an outcast because, you know, nobody else had those two systems but me. Like, you know, I've met a couple guys, you know, after both those systems died that had them. But other than that, man, it was nothing. And then I lost the Dreamcast, you know, well, you don't know this, but I'm from Biloxi, Mississippi. 2005 Hurricane Katrina came, lost all that. So, yeah.
I feel okay.
Yeah.
That's sad, man.
It's all good. It's all good. I've been doing some Windows shopping on Goodwill, and Goodwill looks like a nice little spot to hit up some stuff.
Yeah, you never know. You got eBay, you got, you know, certain Amazon sellers and stuff. You can find them. You could definitely still find them. Like you might run into one at a GameStop. You never know.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're relatively cheap too. Like I was like, that's not what I was expecting to pay for. So I would definitely cop that.
Definitely not what we paid back in 99 or 2000, whenever it was.
Definitely not. So that's enough of our little side tangent. But you were talking about Nick Arcade. So about when did esports really start taking off?
So it didn't really start being called esports until, you know, early in the last decade, like maybe early 2000s, like 2011, 12, when it really started to emerge. And I'll get into that in a minute. But, you know, fighting game terms have been around in, like, you know, other countries and even on this side of the coast in California for a long time, like 2001, like, you know, late 90s, 2003.
Right.
Evo started, I think, in 2001 in San Francisco. Okay. And now it's the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, and it is usually held in Vegas, in I think in the Luxor, last time I checked.
You said Evo, am I correct?
Yeah, Evo.
Okay. Is that an abbreviation or is that?
I think it stands for, I think it's just short for evolution.
Okay, cool.
Something like that.
All right.
But it's, you know, it includes usually 9 games, and they, you know, cycle them out. You know, like if a new version comes out, they'll include that. And then they have like the main stage, and it pulls in tons of viewership on Twitch and stuff like that. But fighting games have always been like historically what professional gaming has been all about.
Correct.
And then over in, I want to say like in Asia, mostly in like Korea, Japan.
You have Overwatch. Am I correct?
Even before that, you had StarCraft. You had StarCraft on PC, and then Unreal Tournament used to have tournaments, and then MLG started to come around the time I was in high school. And we tried to compete in Halo 2 at the time, but we didn't really make it out of a qualifier. So we kind of, our dream got shut down right then and there. But we were pretty good online. Just, you know, doing the LAN thing wasn't as easy as we thought it would be.
Wow.
And then, you know, when League of Legends came around in 2010, they really kind of bolstered the whole esports scene. Like that's when businesses started to take notice, and that's when they started calling it esports. So esports is really more so a business term, but it's been adopted by the community as like, just, you know, it's easier than saying professional gaming or professional gaming athlete. Like it's just easier to just go ahead and say esports.
So with like League of Legends, like I've actually seen it on ESPN and things of that matter. So is League of Legends like because basically you were hinting at it. League of Legends is basically like the reason that it's esports, or that game brought esports into recognition. Am I correct on that? Okay.
I would say that was the biggest, like, you know, turn as far as esports goes. Like that kind of really brought on like this surgence of like, okay, like if people can play this professionally, then like, you know, you should pay attention to fighting games and like other games like League of Legends, like Dota, things of that nature. And then, the shooters started to get involved. CSGO just kind of blew up once
Yes.
again, because Counter-Strike's been around for a minute.
Yes. Yes.
But with CSGO, they really brought that to the forefront. It's very popular in Europe,
Wow.
and a little bit in Brazil. Brazil is really starting to develop their own esports scene as of late. I actually get some Brazilian viewers sometimes. It's crazy. But yeah, that's really when things start to just boom out of nowhere. And that's when I really started to pay attention, because I was watching Twitch at the time. Like, I would just watch it at work.
Yeah.
Just for context, I'm a software engineer by day.
Okay.
So I would just, I would watch tournaments or recaps of tournaments, and just, it's a good way to learn how to, play the game at a professional level, because like these guys are get paid to play the same game you play. The same game you play. So it's like, why wouldn't I want to learn from them and at least be better than my friend or community? Like,
okay.
Why not?
So can I reference to this with like fighting games and like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter? Why, as you said before, that this was going on before League of Legends came into the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Why hadn't fighting games took on that title of esports? Why did it take another game as League of Legends to? I mean, if you can give me insight on that.
I definitely can. Fighting games has always been more of a grassroots kind of like thing, and it's always a little bit more rough around the edges with fighting games. Like, people kind of just do and say whatever. In fighting games, there's a lot of trash talk, online, offline,
True.
Occasionally, like, fights will break out at events and stuff like that, things would get serious. Also, just, to move into the topic for real, fighting games has probably the best diversity among all esports. Like, you'll find people from all over the place, every aspect, every walk of life in fighting games, and they'll be successful at it. Like, you have Sonic Fox, for example.
Fox, man, yeah,
he's just this random black kid who's also a furry and also gay, and it's just like he's really set the tone for like fighting games having the biggest diversity in all of esports. Because a lot of like League of Legends, even though it set the tone, really struggles with having more people of color in the sport.
Yes.
So like you don't really see a lot of black people. Like Afromu is the best example. There are some people in Europe here and there, but like you don't really see it in CS:GO or League of Legends or Fortnite, not as much, but it's getting there a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But fighting games has always been like, this is the color folks are here. So maybe that's why brands shied away, just racially, or just it was a little too rough around the edges, or maybe they just the community, the FGC wasn't open to like branding at the time. They didn't really know how that would work.
Gotcha.
So once League of Legends kind of opened the door for brands to get involved, that's when fighting games kind of started to resurge. And now you have stuff like Evo Japan, like Capcom has their own circuits and stuff like that, Smash Brothers and stuff. So
okay. Is Sonic Fox not on social media? Because I did a quick search. I didn't go deep into it, but it was hard to find him.
Last time I checked, he was usually pretty active on Twitter. I'm not really sure about Instagram, but he did have to switch teams. His team kind of Echo Fox kind of disbanded after the whole Rick Fox fiasco.
What happened with that? Because I was, I'm not following real hard, but when I saw Rick Fox had his own team, I'm a Laker guy. I'm like, okay, that's Rick Fox, man. Echo Fox.
Right.
And then, so if you know anything about that Echo Fox situation, can you tell us about that?
So as far as I know, and let me just say, Rick Fox has been one of my favorite people in esports, because like here you have this championship NBA like legend basically, who got into gaming because he wanted to play, bond with his son, and really just got into the idea of like competitive gaming. So he's been an advocate for it, even still is today, about just spreading the word on esports and saying like these guys are real athletes, like they're doing things that most of us can never do.
Right.
Like freakish reflexes, like commitment, like they're just as much of an athlete as he was. So he was also a catalyst for esports being where it is today. Now, as far as his situation with Echo Fox, he basically just had a disagreement with his partner, who I might say is racist and also just greedy. So he kind of was just the downfall of the team, well, the franchise as a whole. And I hate to see that, because I actually liked a lot of Echo Fox players. Like, they had a lot of good fighting players. They had a good League of Legends team. Like, they were branching out everywhere. So to see that happen was kind of heartbreaking for me, because he really didn't deserve that.
Right. Okay. So let's see. We mentioned going into the people of color that's in esports. And one of the things, man, I'm a black guy. Austin's a black guy. Uh, my brand is black.
Mm-hmm.
One guy even asked me when I promoted it one time. He was like, if you're not promoting white people, you're racist. And I'm like, well, as soon as a white person reaches back out to me, not that I haven't had white people on my podcast, but the majority of people I had on have been black. So shout out to us. And then
Right.
I've reached out to white athletes and they haven't reached back out to me. So shout out to the two white guys I've had on, and because I got deep respect for them. They're both very intelligent in what they do. But speaking of blacks in esports, man, I found your page. I think I did like a hashtag search of like black esports or something like that, and you pulled up and you did like I don't know if it was this past year or last year when you did like 6 or 7 posts, if not more, of esports, blacks in esports, and that's how I really found you.
So every year during Black History Month, I usually dedicate like all my Instagram posts on whatever account. I did it on my gaming account this year because I'm just trying to grow that brand out. But I always do like 28 days or 29 days of blacks in whatever. So it could be anime, gaming, it could be esports, it could be cosplay. So I've been doing that for like 5 years now.
Okay.
So it's just something fun for me to do because it also gives me an opportunity to learn more about whatever industry I'm highlighting. And this year just happened to be esports because I was like, I know a lot of, I've seen and studied a lot of athletes and like commentators and stuff like that in esports. So I was like, this would be a good opportunity. And also maybe they'll like the post and I can get some networking in. So that's kind of my motivation behind that.
Gotcha. That makes sense to me. So I have a quick theory. It's I just came up with it like a week ago of why we see less blacks in PC gaming. And feel free to step in and correct me if I ever misspeak on this. But I feel like we see more blacks in console gaming versus PC gaming because generally speaking, blacks are more disenfranchised than whites. But so it's cheaper to own and easier to own a console versus a PC. That's why you probably have more blacks in console gaming versus PC gaming.
Can I say something off that too before you answer BlackSpartan? For me myself, with dealing with that, but until I started actually gaming online, I knew nothing about PC. Nothing of where to get a PC or how to build. Like friends were telling me once I got to college how they built computers and played certain games. I was like, "Well, you can do that?" I was like, but that's just my experience on it. But I'll just let you answer that too, BlackSpartan, of course. I just had to put that.
Yeah. That's good input. And Corey, your theory is pretty much spot on. Like it's just the entry point for PC gaming is a lot more difficult than the console gaming. Like, you can just go to almost any store or online is buy a console, you set it, like you plug it in and you good to go. It's relatively simple, but for PC gaming, it can be a lot more difficult. Especially just in my generation, I'm probably a little more PC literate than a lot of people in my like class and like generation for, past friends that I've had. But I actually PC gamed when I was in high school a little bit. It was on the family computer, of course, it had to turn certain settings down just to play the game, but I used to play Warcraft 3 and like, StarCraft and a little bit of Unreal Tournament, just anything that I could get my hands on. That was my first real branching out into PC gaming, but I was the only one doing it. All my friends were on Xbox, so I kind of just gravitated towards Halo and other games like that just for the social aspect of it. But I didn't get into PC gaming until about 2 years ago, and all my friends decided that consoles were no longer the move. Now I do have a diverse group of friends. I'm like maybe 1 or 2 black guys among 8 in that particular group that I game with. But, they really kind of ushered me into this whole PC thing. And my first build was relatively cheap for a custom build. It was about $1,200 for just the parts and everything. And that included a monitor and all that other stuff. But
how long did it take you?
Let me see. My friend really walked me through everything and like, helped me pick out the parts and everything. It was about a month or 2 of a process because they were really just tired of me playing League of Legends on a MacBook.
Was it Alienware?
Huh?
Was it Alienware?
No, it was built like we bought the case, we bought the motherboard, we bought the CPU, the GPU, all that was like, picked out hand by hand online. I ordered all the parts. sent it to my friend. He built it and then shipped it to me when I lived in Atlanta.
Nice.
And that was my first gaming PC. This time around, I did a lot of the picking myself because I kind of knew what I was doing, and it was a much more expensive build because I was like, I want to stream, I want to, I don't want to have no issues at least for 2-3 years with streaming and playing like high quality games.
So roughly how much did this one cost you to do?
I want to say 2,500.
Okay.
It
So okay, I was gonna ask you also, was it like winning the championship when you built that thing? And
Man, it was like when it was done and it was running and I played my first game on it, I was in love with this thing. I was like, oh, this is what I deserve. This is what I always wanted. But I will say that the PC market is starting to open up a little bit. Now, it's crazy what the story I heard about Nipsey Hussle and how he built a computer from the ground up with just parts he would find in the trash outside the tech stores or like whatever he could get off the street. He built that when he was like way younger than I was when I built my first one. So it was just like, it's possible, but he was just more motivated to do that just to learn about technology. You can find, cheaper parts. You can find cheap pre-builds. There's nothing wrong with a pre-built computer. A lot of them come with just what you need to run simple games like Fortnite, League of Legends. You can run that on anything.
Right.
Like, honestly, truly. And those are some of the biggest esports in the world right now. So, like, people are just, like, learning about it. I think just lack of information is also a factor that, people didn't realize that you could play these games on, like, the family PC if you really wanted to.
Right.
Like, if you want optimal experience, of course, you want to build something like me, but that shouldn't stop you from exploring the options of, buying a pre-built, learning more about it, and then maybe building your own after a couple of those.
Right. So, it's funny because, man, you sound a lot like my older brother, and like he like I said, he got into gaming, and I was telling my wife the story the other day, man. I didn't tell her how he bought his PlayStation. His first job was at a casino down in Biloxi called the Owl Capri, and it was a little summer job you can get like before, like working through the Boys and Girls Club. So that's how he bought his first PlayStation from the Toys R Us, and then 6-7 years later, whenever the PlayStation 2 comes out, this Joker is working on base at a place called the BX or the Exchange or whatever. And I remember he told me like a week or two in advance, he was like, hey, on this day, I'm buying a PlayStation 2. And it was like the drop weekend or the week after or something. Yeah. This Joker rode his bike from on base and back with the PlayStation 2. Like he rode out there with what, $200-$300, goes and get the PlayStation 2, rides all the way back to our house in Austin. That just to give you a sense of perspective, it's like riding from Jim Hill to past Hughes Field, right? It's that far. That's really kind of cutting it short.
I mean, Jim Hill to Hughes is not too far away,
right? But this is far. Spark. I don't know how to give you a reference range, but
you said Austin. You said Austin, right?
Yeah, it was about 2 or 3 miles. Maybe that's what you're trying to say, Coach.
Yeah, it was easily 5 miles.
Wow,
easily 5 miles from where we were, and he rode it. And I remember we didn't have no good bikes. I think so. He got pretty lucky. And I remember one of the first games we played on there was Grand Theft Auto 3. I'm in the 7th grade. He's a senior in high school at this time, and we're in a lower income neighborhood. All single mom. She has no idea why there's like 10 people in my brother's room, and all of us are taking like a 5-minute turn on this GTA. Man, that was one of the dopest experiences. And then
man, taking turns.
Right.
Hey, imagine Coach, you said you was a 7th grader and your brother was in high school. You asked, can I play the game? Can I play the game?
Like, well, I just literally hopped in next, man, because like there was like 10 of us in there, and man, it was a fun experience. And then this Joker, man, he really, I don't want to take it from your time, Spartan, because we're going to get you back on. But he tried to mod his PS2. Broke it. His girlfriend at the time was so in love with him. He ended up marrying her.
Okay.
So she was so in love with him, gave him her PS2 and he modded that one correctly.
Wow.
So she must have really loved him because I wouldn't have did it. You know,
Yeah.
Love lost.
no way in the world. You know, but from there he got into building his own PC and all that stuff, like you said, man.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
So Spartan, since we talked about coach side of remembering games and consoles of that matter,
Yeah, go for it.
let me get into you. Like, what was some of your fondest memories of just playing a game as a growing up and things of that matter? If you had like an older brother or something.
So, like I said, I'm the oldest of two, and me
Okay.
and my brother were basically like twins at the most. We were only a year and a half apart. So we had to share everything for years. Like for years, we had to share the console,
It was
taking
plenty
turns.
of fights.
It was plenty of fights, you know, over who could play the single player games, over, you know, winning at the I've had controllers thrown in my head. We've gotten in, like, real fist fights, and like I've never gotten in a fight with no one else. But when the day comes, I feel like me and my brother's fights have prepared me for anything. Not to mention we were in karate together, so.
Hey, I don't want no part in you, man.
we was tearing stuff up. CDs would get broken, like
wow.
cartridges would get cracked. It was bad. Like it was something else. But
so how did your parents deal with this?
they would just take it away. At that point, that made me straighten up because I couldn't stand losing my games. But you know, he really didn't care like, at all. But you know, one of the things I miss most, I think, is like split screen. Like, you know, your friends coming over and 4 of you playing on one TV, or like during the Xbox days, you linking consoles together and like you playing in one room, they playing in another. Those were really like the days, like just fond memories. Like with my homeboys, like they're the reason I got this Halo 2 tattoo on my arm.
Nice.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Because I was so fond of those days that like I just don't want to ever forget them. So every time I look at my arm, I just think about, you know, the time we would go to this church after school and play on like 2 big TVs. Like it was crazy. So those are kind of the most fond memories I have of gaming back in the day.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. I'm transferring back to you, Coach.
All right. So let's talk about your software engineering. So would you say? Well, first off, tell me, what does a software engineer do?
I basically just code. So in particular, I work on webs. I work on our website. I work at Pandora.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, now it's SiriusXM Pandora. We merged last year. So I work on the website and things related to web, like mobile web, 10-foot stuff. That's HTML related. So most of what I do is around TypeScript, React, JavaScript based things of that nature. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do for 9 to 5 or 10 to 4, however I feel. It's whatever. Tech is great.
Yeah. So did gaming get you into this?
So you could say that, because I used to want to make video games at one point.
Wow.
But then I took computer science in high school, and that was really more of that was a whole different language compared to what I do now, and it just really didn't stick. So I actually ended up trying to get into marketing more so, just so I can, you know, advertise games, or like, you know, help games advertise, do campaigns and stuff like that. So I got my marketing degree from Morehouse College, which I'm sure y'all are familiar with down there.
Yes.
Like, you know, everybody and their mama want their son to be a Morehouse man. Like, I just got lucky and got a scholarship. But I did marketing there, and then after that, I went to this school to do graphic design for advertising, which was also in Atlanta. But I also realized I couldn't draw. So I jumped into their web development program, and that stuck, because HTML and CSS were a lot easier than C++ and Java. So
yeah, and binary codes and things like that. Huh?
Yeah, it's a whole different. Like, you know, people always ask me, like, you know, do you know how to make an app? And I'm just like, no, that's a whole different language. Like, you know, Apple has their own language for coding apps on there, and then Android has their own as well. So it's all very different. Like, we have an Apple team, we have an Android team, and we have us on web, and it's all very different. But my love of video games was always there. I mean, I still played online, like after school and stuff like that. So it just never really went anywhere. So
it was just that you had to try to prepare yourself to get to a state where you could be financially stable to play games. You know.
Yeah, because, you know, after a while, my parents and my family stopped buying the games for us. So we usually had to wait around till Christmas or birthdays to get the gifts. Luckily, me and my brother's birthdays and Christmas were all spread out pretty well. So, you know, we'd have new games like year round. just as gifts or whatever little money we would get for our birthday, we'd buy a game or a console. So, I knew that if I wanted to keep my passion going, I had to get into a career that paid.
Right.
Yeah.
And it helps that a lot of people in this industry, in software engineering, web development, tech, etc., are also just as nerdy as I am. So we talk video games all the time. So,
Yeah.
a lot of times that'll get you in the door for a job interview or get you in the door for a job in tech, because everybody and their mama is a gamer. So
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel that anybody technological wise got into anything with technology is because of games, playing them as an early child. It just builds up. And then you're like, hey, I really love this. I want to get into this or that graphic design or that matter. It all started to me. Everything of a basis of technology started because of us nowadays just playing games.
Yeah, gaming used to be so taboo. Like, if you were a gamer, you were a nerd, like you were outcast, like, Corian was saying. Now it's like, it's pop culture. Like, there are rappers, celebrities, actors, that play games openly and like really just super open about watching anime and all sorts of other nerdy stuff, playing card games, playing board games. Like,
so
go ahead, Ghost.
I'm sorry, but you mentioned that, and my brother, man, like I said, he's 5 years. He was 5 grades ahead of me. He's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
This Joker, man, would watch like Super Sentai from like a year or two before it comes to America. For the folks that don't know, Super Sentai is the stock footage for Power Rangers. So he would watch like the Japanese version of Power Rangers a year or two before it comes over here. And I remember, people used to try to pick on me about my brother watching Power Rangers. And I'm like, well, he's 5 years older than me, y'all. Like, and he's a grown man at this point. I'm in 8th grade. He's out of high school. Like, he can do what he wants. And it's just funny because they was like, man, but like you said, you got guys like RDC World, you, and man,
King Vader, the list goes on. And the beauty of it was like, I feel like an outcast in high school, but once I got to college, like I went, Morehouse at HBCU, it's blurs everywhere. So I didn't feel so left out anymore. Then you have rappers like Lupe Fiasco and Charles Gambino just kind of like got in your way because it's like, they're into this stuff too. You don't feel so outcast anymore. If anything, you feel special. Right. So I took that and ran with it and just became this confident nerd that wasn't afraid to share his interests with the world. I just didn't care anymore. It's like, if you go pick on me, then that's your problem.
Yeah, and I got to say what you said coming into college and things like me coming from an all-black high school where Coach was our teacher and the coach. Anime was a whole new language. Like, if we saw somebody that was on anime, we were like, we understand Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. But if you come with something like Black Clover or something they were like, man, what is you like? You would be clown. Like, what is this you're watching? But now you get in college, people talk about anime all the time, and I'm like, wow, like this is a whole new language. I feel like just in college by itself, you are more accepted because it's more people like you, no matter what you are or anything. So that's what I kind of had to say about that from coming to college to from high school to college. So
What college are you at now?
The University of Southern Mississippi.
Okay, cool. So
yeah.
HBCU family, okay.
No, it's not HBCU.
It's not an HBCU.
No, I'm sorry, man.
Oh, I was thinking Southern. My bad.
I'm sorry.
I was thinking Southern. I was thinking Southern Grambling. Like, my bad.
Yeah. It's all good, man. I almost went to
the Q Delta's nice, but
that's my mistake.
But going into that, what's some of your I heard you speak on Halo, League of Legends, all these type of games, Sonic. What is your top 3 all-time favorite games? Just straight off the bat.
At the top is Halo 2. Like,
Correct.
No matter what, I will never turn my back on that game. I can't even name one. It's like probably just any Sonic game you could put in number 2. Like, I've enjoyed almost every Sonic game I've played. There's some I haven't played, like Sonic 2006. I don't think I have it in me to play that garbage. It would break my heart. But Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic the Hedgehog 2 are like kind of the spectrum on where I land with Sonic games. And 3, I want to say 3 is always a little tough, but like, the Final Fantasy series is like one of my favorites as well. Like, it's somewhere between 10 and like like maybe 14 is like the MMO version where you play online with a whole bunch of other people. I really enjoy that story. Like that's probably my favorite story-based game, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
So just to recap it, Halo 2, Sonic, Final Fantasy.
Got you.
Some
Got
sort.
you. So we saw like lately the new game around town is Among Us. So have you been playing Among Us like that, or you got some clips out there or something that I can watch on that, man? I want to see you in action.
I played a little bit of Among Us with some other streamers that I know. Like I'll hop in their lobbies or whatever and play with them. I did put a clip on my Instagram not too long ago. I think it was last week or the week before. And I got some other stuff coming in my YouTube recap for the month.
Okay.
Can you shout out?
Yeah, go ahead and shout out all your.
Oh, for the most part, YouTube and Twitch is LastBlackSpartan, spelled the way it is on Zoom. Twitter is LastBLK Spartan because it wouldn't fit. And someone has my name on Instagram, so it's LastBlackSpartan7 on Instagram.
All right.
And I'll send you a link after if you want to you want to share with anybody. Like I'm out here trying to grow.
Definitely. You got something, Coach?
Nah, man. Well, we just finna wrap it up. We're running short on time, but RJ, LastBlackSpartan, man, we really appreciate you coming on.
And dropping that knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
Dropping that knowledge, man.
We plan on doing a Black History special. Definitely want you to come on and represent for the eSports side and whatever else. And just software engineering, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're an inspiration to all of us, man.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks for having me. Always dope to see, Black men doing their thing, doing their podcasts and stuff like that. Once it get to a certain point, let me know. I'll see if I can get you guys in touch with Pandora, get on Pandora. Once we get to a good point with podcasts, we're still growing that business out a little bit. But, this was great. My first podcast, really. So, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're good. We're definitely going to have you on again, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Thank you.